On a barren moon, far from the bustling worlds of the galaxy, a small crew of miners worked in silence. Their mission was simple: dig deep into the dry, cracked earth and extract precious metals for the planets far away. It was a routine job. Until one day, deep within the rocky craters, they discovered something that was not a part of the moon. It was an ancient machine, half buried and covered in dust. Its surface shimmered with strange symbols, glowing faintly in the dark. The captain of the expedition, a wise but weary man named Soren, was the first to approach it. What could it be? He wondered aloud. The machine hummed quietly as he ran his fingers across the glowing symbols. Suddenly, there was a crackling sound in the air, like the voice of the stars themselves, calling from the distant reaches of space. "What have you done?" said Yara, the young engineer who had always been skeptical of the myths Soren spoke of. But Soren only smiled. He had learned from the old tales, stories told by travelers from the farthest corners of the galaxy. "We've awakened something, Yara," he said softly, "and it's not just machinery." The machine pulsed with energy. With one final hum, it sent a brilliant beam of light into the dark void above. The crew stared, their mouths agape, as the signal spread across the stars, reaching farther than any human mind could imagine. Soren's eyes widened in awe, for he recognized the legends, the stories of the Harvesters, a race of ancient beings who had once ruled the galaxy, but were lost to time. They had hidden their secrets in the farthest corners of space, guarding them from those who might seek their power. And now, the signal they had triggered would awaken them once again. Days passed in uneasy silence, until the sky, once clear, was filled with something that the crew could not explain: a fleet of ships, each one massive, ancient, and otherworldly. And they were coming fast. Not to greet them. Not to make contact. No, they were coming to reclaim what was once theirs. The Harvesters had returned. And their harvest was the crew themselves. The crew watched in stunned silence as the sky above them darkened with the arrival of the alien fleet. The ships were like nothing they'd ever seen, sleek, shimmering vessels, their surfaces rippling with strange, ethereal patterns. They glided silently, as if the very fabric of space itself bent around them. Soren, now feeling the weight of his decision, turned to his crew. "We've disturbed something ancient, something powerful. The legends speak of the Harvesters coming for what's theirs. We've triggered their return, and they will not forgive us." Yara, her face pale, stepped forward. "What do we do now, Captain? We can't fight them. They're too powerful. They've waited millennia for this." The ground trembled as the alien fleet came closer, and from the largest ship, a beam of light shot down. It pierced through the sky, landing right in front of the miners. A door opened, and from the shadows emerged beings that were not quite human, but not entirely alien either. They were tall, their bodies shimmering with translucent skin, their eyes glowing like distant stars. "Those who awaken the signal must pay the price," one of the beings said, its voice not loud, but filled with an ancient, reverberating authority. The crew was frozen in place. Their hearts pounded, but no one moved. The Harvesters had returned to reclaim what had been lost, and their return was a cosmic reckoning. Soren spoke, his voice trembling but resolute. "What is it you seek from us? We didn't mean to disturb your slumber." The Harvester, its voice like the rustle of leaves in a forgotten forest, replied, "It is not your fault. The signal was sent by those who came before you. They too sought power beyond their reach. And now, the price is to be paid." The miners were caught in the weight of the moment. This was no mere misunderstanding. The Harvesters had come for something far more valuable than metals or riches. They had come for the lost pieces of their civilization, hidden deep within the moon, waiting to be claimed. The air grew thick with tension as the Harvester stepped forward. "We seek the heart of the moon. The device you awakened is a beacon, a key. And now that you've called us, we must take what is ours." The miners had no choice but to watch in helplessness as the Harvesters began their work, their movements fluid and purposeful. In an instant, the ground shook once again, and the ancient machinery beneath them came alive, powering up in a brilliant, blinding light. But it was not the light of salvation. It was the light of something ancient, powerful, and ultimately beyond the control of humankind. And so, the legend of the harvesters grew. Whispers of their return spread across the galaxy, carried by the stars themselves. The miners' fate was sealed, their names lost in the cosmos, but their story, a tale of ancient power, lost civilizations, and cosmic reckoning, remained. And so, the stars would continue to whisper, reminding all who listened, beware what you awaken, for some things are better left untouched. As the harvester's fleet hovered above the barren moon, a stillness fell over the planet. The miners, their hearts gripped with fear, could do nothing but watch as the ancient alien beings worked their way through the rubble of the old machinery. The moon itself trembled with the force of their presence, the sound of metal shifting echoing like the groan of a dying world. Soren stood frozen, his eyes glued to the massive structures coming to life before him. He had known, deep down, that this was the consequence of disturbing something so ancient, something so powerful. The legends had warned of this, how some things were meant to remain hidden in the dark corners of space. Yet, here they were, at the edge of the cosmos, in the grip of a reckoning that could never be undone. Yara, her hands shaking, whispered to Soren, "Captain, we've failed. What do they want with us? What is this heart of the moon?" Soren looked at the darkening sky, his voice barely audible. "The heart of the moon is a device. A relic of the harvesters' long-lost empire. It holds the essence of their civilization, knowledge, power, and the key to controlling the stars themselves. They were once rulers of galaxies, but something went wrong. They disappeared, leaving only whispers behind. But now, the harvesters had returned to reclaim what was theirs, and they would take whatever was necessary to restore their dominance." The ground trembled again, and the machinery began to pulse, sending out waves of strange energy. The harvesters were close. The miners had no way to stop them. Their fate was now inextricably tied to the return of the harvesters and the cosmic relic they had unknowingly activated. Just as the light from the machinery reached its brightest point, Soren stepped forward. He knew that this was the end of their journey. There was no escaping what had been awakened. He looked up at the harvesters, their glowing eyes watching him with a quiet, cosmic judgment. "You seek the heart of the moon," he said, his voice firm. "But what will you do with it once you have it? Will you remake the universe, or will you destroy it all over again?" The harvester in the lead, towering above him, regarded Soren for a long moment. Then, in a voice that seemed to echo through the very fabric of space, it answered, "We will restore what was lost. Our empire fell because of arrogance and greed. Now, we will correct our mistakes." The tension in the air was thick, and the miners knew that the moment had arrived. The harvesters were not here for destruction, but for redemption, redemption of their lost empire, and perhaps, even the galaxy itself. But at what cost? The machinery hummed, the heart of the moon glowing brighter, until a blinding flash filled the sky. The harvesters gathered their ancient power, pulling it from the moon itself. It was the price for their return, the final step in a cycle that had begun millennia ago. The miners, though unable to fully understand what was happening, felt the shift. The heart of the moon had been taken, its secrets now reclaimed by the beings who had built it. And as the harvesters left, vanishing into the void of space, a deep silence settled over the moon. Days later, as the galaxy continued to turn, the story of the harvesters spread. Whispers of their return filled the cosmos, passed from one traveler to the next, becoming part of the vast tapestry of space legends. And so, the tale of the harvesters endured, a reminder that some things, no matter how forgotten, would always return. What the harvesters sought and what they did with the heart of the moon remained a mystery, but the signal they had sent would never fade from the stars. Perhaps, someday, another traveler would come across the ruins of the moon, unknowingly triggering a new chapter in the ancient saga. For now, the legend lived on, carried by the winds of the cosmos, waiting for the next unwitting explorer to awaken what was better left in the dark.